Hi, Angie here from mynexttablet.com. Today with an unboxing video of the new Lenovo Yoga Tab 11. Let's get started. Alright, let's start the unboxing of the Lenovo Yoga Tab 11, which is available in many countries now. I got it in Germany, and in the United States it costs 319 US dollars. In Europe it starts at 350 euros. And yeah, inside the box we get the tablet first with a very unique design. You can see it already. Then we get some paperwork like the warranty and quick start guide. Then there's an eject tool for the micro SD card, but also for a SIM card if you're getting the 4G version. Then there's a standard USB-C cable and the standard charger. There's no HDMI cable, unlike with the Tab 13 that I unboxed already. That one had an HDMI port, but this one does not. As usual, since I shot the first part of this video, about a day has passed already, and I watched some Netflix, YouTube, played a game, and ran a benchmark. And yeah, I can tell you a bit about this tablet already, and we're starting with the design, which is one of the main highlights of the Yoga Tab 11. It has an 11-inch screen, as the name suggests. We get some kind of symmetrical black screen bezels. Then there's an 8-megapixel camera right in the middle. That's great for video chats. And next to that is a time of flight sensor. It's probably hard to see, but that one is used for facial recognition, which works quite well. It's relatively fast, does not seem to be as fast as Apple's Face ID, but it works quite well, as you can see. Then if we go further down here, we see two speakers. Well, it looks like a sound bar, but I think there are two speakers. One is here, one is here. And there are two more speakers, one on this side and one on the other side. So we've got 4 speakers in total. And in fact, the sound quality seems to be pretty good for this price. I certainly watched some YouTube and it sounded pretty good. Again, especially for this price. And especially these two speakers sounded very good. Now, let's see the full design of this Yoga Tab 11. You can see we get this kind of grip here. Then we've got a kickstand. We've got this fabric here. It looks really nice, and I really like the design of the Yoga series. The direct predecessor is the Lenovo Yoga Smart Tab, which I reviewed like 2 or maybe even 3 years ago now. You can check out the old videos about that one. And yeah, I really like this design. So we're getting this grip. There's a USB-C port built into it. There's no headphone jack, but there's also a battery, which usually with the Yoga series sits inside this grip. I'm not sure if Lenovo is using the same internal design here, but probably it's a 7500 milliamp hour battery, so the battery life should be pretty good. And yeah, you can grip it like this and read easily. That's always yeah, I always like it. One downside is that it never sits flat on a table because we've got this grip here. Then we've got this kickstand, which you can fold out in lots of angles. You can freely choose the angle, and you can also fold it out like all the way, almost 180 degrees, and then you can hang it somewhere, like in the bathroom or in the kitchen or wherever you can hang things in your home. So that's very interesting. And then of course you can use it as a standard stand for when you're watching a movie or so. Most of this body seems to be plastic, like this seems to be plastic, the stand seems to be metal, and then we've got this kind of fabric here, and this fabric looks similar to the fabric of the keyboard cover of the Lenovo Dual Chromebook. Maybe you have that one, then you know how that feels and looks like. It makes it look a little bit higher end, even though the body here really seems to be plastic. This tablet is relatively heavy. Lenovo says it's 655 grams, which for an 11-inch tablet is quite a lot, and I think that's because of the big battery and this kickstand design. It doesn't feel crazy heavy or so, but you know, you can feel like you're holding something. So much about the design. Here on the back, we've got another 8-megapixel camera. The 13-inch Lenovo Yoga doesn't have a back camera, but here Lenovo decided to give us one. And then on the side, we've got a power button, volume rockers, and then a micro SD card slot. And I'm sure that's where you put the SIM card with the LTE version as well. Now let's get to the display of the Lenovo Yoga Tab 11. As the name says, it has an 11-inch screen. It has an aspect ratio of 16:10, and it's a pretty nice screen with 400 nits, so it's relatively bright. As a comparison, an iPad Pro has 600 nits, which of course is much more, but it's also much pricier. This is much cheaper at 400 nits and it's a solid brightness. Viewing angles are good. And the sharpness is good too. It has a resolution of 2000 by 1200 pixels. So basically that's about full HD. And that means that icons and text and so on look sharp enough. I always think that that resolution on 10 inches is totally fine. So the screen is pretty good. If you want, you can use the Lenovo Precision Pen 2 on the Yoga Tab 11. That's a pen that Lenovo originally introduced together with the Lenovo Tab P11 and P11 Pro. And it also works with the Lenovo Yoga Tab 13. So if you've got several Lenovo tablets like I do, then you can use the same pen with those 4 tablets. That's very nice. You've got to buy it extra, of course, but it's a decent pen. It's charged using USB-C. Has 2 buttons and a pressure sensitive tip. The pen works fine. You can see me using Squid here, which is a pre-installed notes app, and it works totally fine, but I always feel like it's not as precise and not as well developed as the S Pen from Samsung or the Apple Pencil. So I think it totally works fine, but I just wouldn't get it if the pen, if you want a tablet especially for the pen. It's a nice additional feature, but not the best pen, or not the best pen experience, I would say, out there. And one reason for that is also the software. There are 2 apps pre-installed for the pen, Squid and Bamboo Paper. You can get them inside the Play Store anyways, but we don't get any air commands that Samsung, for example, has for the S Pen, or like the scribble feature that Apple has for the iPad series. The Samsung Notes app, which is a fantastic note-taking app, does not run on Lenovo tablets or on other tablets than Samsung anyways. By the way, there's also OneNote pre-installed, which you can use too, of course. So yeah, that are the software features for the pen. Basically just some apps that you can get for free anyways inside the Play Store. Inside the Lenovo Yoga Tab 11 sits a MediaTek Helio G90T processor together with 4GB or 8GB of RAM and 128GB or 256GB internal storage. So we've got quite nice storage options here. You can get it with LTE 4G as well. You can see in my Geekbench 5 benchmark comparison that the Lenovo Yoga Tab 11 is quite a bit slower than the Yoga Tab 13, which also is much pricier, to be fair. The Tab 13 is as good as the Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus. And you can also see that the Yoga Tab 11 is quite a bit faster than the Lenovo Tab P11, which is a lower end tablet. So the Yoga Tab 11 is kind of sitting in the mid-range. I played PUBG Mobile already. You can see it here, and you can set the graphics to HD, but not to Ultra HD like you can on the 13-inch version. And as you have seen in the benchmark, you should be able to play pretty much every game on the Yoga Tab 11. The CPU, the chipset here is fast enough for that, but you won't always be able to select highest graphic settings like you can see with PUBG Mobile. Now let's get to the software. On the Lenovo Yoga Tab 11 runs Android 11. We can quickly confirm that in the settings, and there we go. I'm not sure how many updates this tablet will get. In the past, Lenovo often released 1 update, sometimes 2, but usually they're not as good as Samsung is, for instance. But I mean, maybe Lenovo will surprise us. So it's Android 11 and their own UI on top. It has a lot of Google features like the Google Kids space, which is interesting if you want to use it with your kids. And there's also the entertainment space, which you can slide out. And from here, you can quickly get some entertainment recommendations from the apps, from the entertainment apps you installed, like YouTube, Netflix, Prime Video. The same goes for games and also for reading books. For example, If you have the Kindle app pre-installed, you will see the Kindle books too. I don't, so it only shows some random books from Google Play Books. And let's swipe back. By the way, in the settings, you can deactivate the entertainment space, which I will do when I use it as my daily tablet, because I don't have a real use for the entertainment space. There are all the other Google apps basically pre-installed, like YouTube Music and so on. Netflix is pre-installed. A couple of other Google apps here. I already mentioned Squid and Bamboo Paper. Some Microsoft apps are pre-installed, as well as Amazon Music. There are not a lot of features for the pen, I said that already, but there's one very interesting feature in the settings that I found, which is not present on the 13-inch version, and that's the productivity mode, which I always liked on Lenovo tablets. It's a kind of desktop mode, but not really. It just changes the design a bit. It's not as heavy of a desktop mode as Samsung DeX is, or as the Huawei desktop mode is. Basically, it places the 3 Android buttons here on the side, and then we get a taskbar with currently opened apps. That way you can navigate the system much easier with a mouse and a keyboard, which you can attach either using the USB-C port or using Bluetooth, of course. I don't think Lenovo has announced a keyboard cover for this tablet yet, but who knows, maybe they will. Alright, now I have to start my proper review of the Lenovo Yoga Tab 11. My first impressions are pretty good though. I like that we get a decent screen. The battery seems to be very big. I'm excited to run my battery test. The software is fine. The pen is not amazing, but it works, which is fine. And I always love this design of the Yoga Tab series. I love this kind of grip and the kickstand which is built in. I think this is just a fantastic design for a tablet, and it's something unique that basically only Lenovo has. So the performance seems to be good, especially for its price, a mid-range tablet. I love the storage options. In Germany, if you get 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage, you only pay 50 euros more compared to 4GB RAM and 128GB storage. So if you want a lot of storage and a lot of RAM because you are into multitasking, maybe you even want to work with this tablet, then it's probably worth it to pay a little bit more for that much more memory. Yeah, so first impressions are pretty good, but I have to start my full review now. I'm guessing it will take a couple of weeks, maybe up to a month or so. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments, and then I will certainly check them before I finish my review. Alright, that's been my unboxing of the Lenovo Yoga Tab 11. Thanks for watching and see you next time.